I am here with Tony, and we are doing
Tony.
we're doing our second segment for Storytime with Tony. Our very first episode was Never Been Kissed, and he took us down memory lane to a Kiss concert back in 1977. And he was saying how he hadn't been kissed yet technically by a girlfriend, but you had had a couple of kisses here and there. Like,
yeah, it was New Year's Eve. I was 14. I was drunk. It was the neighbor's house. You know, midnight. Everybody's like, you know, kissing each other. Next thing you know, some girl's got her tongue in my throat, and I'm like, this is interesting.
You're like, Happy New Year!
Yeah, I've never done this before. And next thing you know, I'm like, hey, can I get one from you? And how about you?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was, and then, you know, like within an hour, I was outside puking off the porch.
Oh my goodness. So when did you actually have your first official kiss? Because a lot of people had asked about that.
As a girlfriend?
As a girlfriend.
Probably when I was 16 or so, I think I had one.
Okay.
And it wasn't really
Like
a girlfriend,
almost
but it was a girl that I knew.
So it was almost that year. It was almost that year. And then your first official girlfriend was what age? Because we'll hear about her later.
I want to say 18.
Okay, 18. So 2 years later. And you'll talk about that. So we decided we were going to do like a little timeline of where we went in order from your very first concert. But you have a shirt on today. Show us your shirt.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
And he wants to do this. And Tony's in charge. So we're going to talk about Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But don't forget to subscribe, and we'll go back in time again.
Yeah, we'll go back to 1979.
Yes, when he has his second concert that he'll tell us all about. And third. But
yes.
For now, you are taking over with TSO. And, you know, pretty much it's story time with Tony.
Yeah. Well, anybody that knows me, that follows me on Facebook, knows that I'm a huge Trans-Siberian Orchestra fan. I have been since 1995. And this actually predates Trans-Siberian Orchestra, because that was when they were originally a band called Sabotage, a heavy metal band, and they put out this album called Dead Winter Dead. And in this album, they had a song that was called Christmas Eve Sarajevo 1224. Okay, and there's a story that goes along with it. I mean, it just like Trans-Siberian Orchestra has narration in between the songs and stuff that kind of further the story in each of their albums and stuff. That's the way this was. And basically, it was this story was about, the whole story takes place in Sarajevo back in the 90s. If you're old enough, you might remember all the strife and war and stuff between Muslims and Christians, you know, in that area, in Yugoslavia and stuff, back in the 90s. And it was just absolutely horrible, you know. Anyway, this story is about a gargoyle that's been on this church roof, I guess, for, you know, hundreds of years, and he's watching the events unfold and stuff. And so he's telling this story, and in this story, there's a point where all this fighting is going on, and there's a point of view from the Muslim side and a point of view from the Christian side, not taking any sides whatsoever. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, nobody's good, nobody's bad. You know, just different opinions. You know, different stories. You know, and in this story, and I'm going to get all verklempt here in a minute, because this version of the song really gets me. You know, seriously. And anyway, in this story, there's these two people on opposite sides of the war. They go down. They usually go down at midnight to this, you know, town square, where this man is playing Christmas songs, traditional Christmas songs and stuff, you know, on his cello. You know, in the middle of this war-torn area, I mean, mortars and bombs and shooting going on all around him, and he's doing this night after night. And one night, they're out there, and all of a sudden, the music stops. I'm sorry, here I go. But anyway, so they both go to investigate what's going on, and they're both going for the same reason. You know, they're both, because they're like, I've been listening to this guy for a week now, or whatever, you know, it's been so beautiful in the middle of all this strife. There's this man who's, you know, been playing these songs on a cello. Well, they get there and they find his body, and they decided war is hell, and they just run off together. And anyway, that's kind of what the story is.
Aww.
You know?
There's some Kleenex right there.
Yeah. But I mean, in that context of the song, I mean, to me, it's so super moving, and it's basically an instrumental of "Carol of the Bells." But boy, is it a rockin' instrumental! Holy cow! If you've ever heard it, you know what I'm talking about, man. Just Google it.
Yeah.
You know, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve Cherry, you can't miss it. It's an amazing song.
So I'm assuming this is your favorite piece from them.
It's one of my favorites. It's the one that really introduced me to Trans-Siberian Orchestra because of this song. When it was released in 1995, it became a huge hit on radio for Christmas time. You know, and they decided to go ahead and expand on this, and that's where they took some of the people from Trans-Siberian Orchestra and a whole bunch of other outside artists and stuff, singers and stuff from Broadway and all over different kind of various genres of music. You know, and they created this thing called Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And what it is, it's a story of an angel that comes down to earth. God has told him, look, I want you to go down to earth and find me something that best represents the spirit of Jesus, you know, without giving me something physical. You can't bring me something, you know, physical. All right, it has to be something that's not physical. And I'm not, anybody who knows me knows I'm atheist, you know, but it's a story. Just like any other, just like, to me, it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like, you don't have to believe in elves, you know, and stuff like that, and Morgoth and all that in order to enjoy, you know, Lord of the Rings. Same thing with this story. Anyway, the angel goes down, you know, and he's looking around for this, and he basically comes upon this man, you know, in a bar. You know, and he starts talking to him. They start this little story of how this angel's been all over. He's been looking for, you know, in war-torn areas, in this place and that place, and he finally comes across a man, you know, whose daughter has run away from home, and now she's not home at Christmas. And here I go again. So anyway, so the angel finds that finds his daughter, you know, in a rundown bar, outside a rundown bar in New York City. And he goes into the bar and he convinces the bartender to take all the cash out of his till and give it to the girl so she can get home for Christmas. Okay, and that's basically the story. And it's an amazing story, you know. And it basically comes down to is, you know, Christmas isn't physical things. It's not presents. You know, it's emotional things. Being with family. You know, there's so much more to Christmas than gifts. And Santa Claus. As much as I love to be Santa Claus, I mean, for an atheist, this album really brought back the meaning of Christmas for me. That's something I thought I'd lost forever, you know, as a kid, you know, and it really brought it back in a really emotional way for me. And they didn't start touring for a couple of years later. They put out another couple albums and stuff, a non-Christmas album called Beethoven's Last Night, different story. I'll tell you about that later, maybe sometime. But anyway, they started touring, and I saw that they were going to be in El Paso one year.
What year?
It was it was 2000.
2000.
They'd done a tour.
So 30 years after your first concert, you saw Trans-Siberian Orchestra. 30 years after 1970? 23.
77.
Oh yeah, 77.
So it was 23 years. But, so I went and saw them, and they did their show exactly the way I was hoping that they would do it. With the narration, they had a narrator on stage that, you know, that did all the narration from the LPs and stuff that were not actually in between the recorded songs, but it was, you know, you could read it and stuff on the liner notes. But they did it exactly the way I wanted to. I mean, I was just so shocked that for once, somebody looked inside my brain almost and decided, this is how we're going to do it, and it's exactly what they did, and it was an amazing production. Even though it was their first year, their lighting director, who's been with them ever since the beginning, his name is Brian Hartley. He is known throughout the lighting industry as being one of the best lighting directors in the world. You know, he's done Kiss and Aerosmith and Nine Inch Nails and Megadeth and Judas Priest and, you know, you name the rock band, you know, Joan Jett, Lenny Kravitz. He's done so many different people.
He did all of those people before Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
In between as well. I mean, he's still doing other people. I mean, this year he toured with Megadeth and with Judas Priest.
But Trans-Siberian Orchestra kind of gave him his footing?
No.
He'd already been established?
I think he'd already been established, and they just decided to get him. And the story that I wanted to work around to is the fact that he said, Paul O'Neill, the guy who created Trans-Siberian Orchestra, he wanted this thing to be completely over the top. He wanted lights, 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 everything. If you know anything about Trans-Siberian Orchestra, they have like one of the best. They have like one of the best stage productions everywhere. Lights and lasers and fire and smoke and music and just dancing girls and everything. It's just, you know, it is way over the top. But anyway, Paul O'Neill said, I just want lights and lights and lights and lights. And he said it was the first time he'd ever had to try to talk somebody out of using more lights on their very first tour. He had to talk about, it's like, no, 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 we need to do fewer lights. You know, later on, he went ahead, you know, he changed, but for that first tour, because they were just doing small theaters. They started out doing places like Kiva Auditorium in Albuquerque. Now they're doing arenas, you know, which is huge.
And how hard are the tickets to get? You said they sell out pretty quick, or is
no,
it just the
tickets are relatively easy to get to now, unless of course you're a fan club member and you want like specific seats like me. I always want front row. Okay, since that first show, I sat row 18, basically in the middle on the floor, and I enjoyed it. But the next year I got in on the fan club sale and I got second row at Kiva Auditorium. The next year I got first row. And the year after that I got first row.
So how many, you've seen them every year since 2000?
Except for 2020 when they didn't tour because of the pandemic.
So that's 20?
3 years, basically.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, every year. And I've sat front row, I would say probably 80% of the shows I've been to.
And have you talked other people into going with you? Like,
are you kidding? You wouldn't believe how many people, even my parole officer, my probation officer, I should say. With me, she was the nicest person in the world, but she never denied a single, in 2 years, she never denied a single travel request I had to go see a concert. And I brought back a program one time about TSO, and she's like, wow, this looks crazy.
yeah.
This is from last year. I don't know, maybe you can show some pictures of it or something. But this is a program I got from last year.
That's
still in my office. But I talked to her into going. You know, she's taken her son almost every year since mid-2000s.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, she's become a big fan. She's going, as a matter of fact, I believe she's going to Colorado Springs to go see him. I'm going to go see him in Denver this year. You know, I used to go see him in Albuquerque. I've seen him in Lubbock, in Amarillo, El Paso, Las Cruces, Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Las Vegas, Colorado Springs, Denver, San Antonio, Houston, and I've also seen the East Coast version. They have 2 touring versions because they're so huge and there's only so much time that you can do a Christmas tour. They have 2 complete touring troops, kind of like Broadway troops, you know, Wicked, you know, they'll have 2 or 3 different touring troops that are going around the country at the same time playing everywhere.
And so are they all Christmas?
It's all the exact same show.
But multiple
both
different
East and West.
places? Okay.
East and West, it's the exact same show, exact same lighting and everything else. Everything is the same, they just have different performers. That's it. And
how do you get a job with them?
good question. You have to be talented, number one. Number two, they have to have an opening.
Yeah.
Many of the people that I've seen on the West Coast, and they all know me now. They've seen me at every show for years. I started taking a plastic inflatable guitar and sitting in the front row and headbanging. Mm-hmm. You know, 1 year, because I had one for I used to hang out on the sidelines on the at the football games, the home football games of Roswell and Goddard.
And you would take a plastic guitar?
Yeah, and I would jam with them in concert. And then one year I found a springy Santa hat that I saw in like Walgreens or something. So I wore that and I started doing that every year. And they knew me. I mean, Jane, the keyboardist, Al, the guitar player, Angus, the other guitar player, John O'Reilly, the drummer, Derek on keyboards as well, Anna Phoebe on violin. Now it's Asha Mablana on violin. Many of the singers as well. I've known them for years. They've seen me for years sitting in the front row. They're always waving to me and stuff. But my progression, I started, like I said, started with the guitar, went with the hat, and then I started wearing like, I wanted to do something like Santa was like, you know, being casual Friday. So I had these red shirts made with white cuffs on the collar, white down, white down the front and around the collar and stuff like that. I used to wear that with red jeans. And then eventually I got a real Santa suit and I sat in the front row and I did that for a couple of years. Now.
And last year you got a brand new one, right?
I got a brand new one. Now when I go, I take a Santa sack, and I bring these little plastic inflatable guitars. I take a regular size one for myself. All right.
Oh my goodness, you invested in?
Yeah. Anyway, I buy these. They're like 50 cents each. So I bought them. I bought a Santa bag, and what I do is I go to their concerts, and I walk around and I hand these out to little kids.
Aww.
So that they can jam out with Santa Claus and Trans-Siberian Orchestra with me.
That's so awesome.
Let me unwrap this here. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh my goodness, that is so cute.
And I have them like 4 or 5 different colors.
And where do you order those from? Just online?
I order them online, and
And you
I
do this just out of your own, like.
Yeah, I just hand them out to kids because I thought it'd be something cool to do,
And you've been doing a lot of Santa
they're like
things.
50 cents each.
Yeah.
And I'll buy like 200 or something like that, and give out 75 or 100 or I don't even know how many I give out anymore.
And you've been doing the Santa. You've been dressing up as Santa here in town for a couple of years now, right?
Oh yeah, I've been doing it, kind of off and on, depending on what's going on. Like a couple of years ago, I had belly button hernia surgery, so I couldn't do it as much. As a matter of fact, this year I'm having the same problem, not belly button surgery, but I'm getting a gallbladder taken out. So when I go see TSO in Denver in November, I'll be fine. But after the show, about 2 weeks later is when I'm going to have surgery
On my birthday.
On my gallbladder taken out and a hernia.
On my birthday.
Yeah, the 30th.
November 30th, yep.
Yeah, so.
But you wanted to talk about TSO, obviously, because Christmas time's coming up. You're going to be seeing the show in November, and it's something that you adore.
I can't express enough how amazing this show is, what kind of a feeling it will give you, and how it will, you could take anybody, kids to grandparents. My dad and I, no music in common. He grew up loving big band and stuff like that and easy listening, Perry Como and that type of stuff, Trans-Siberian Orchestra was something that we could both agree on and we both really loved. And I love taking newbies, man. I've only had one person complain about Trans-Siberian Orchestra. One person, and this guy was such a hardcore atheist. He goes, "Yeah, it was pretty cool except for all the God stuff." I'm like, there really wasn't a whole lot of God stuff, and I'm an atheist too, and it doesn't really bother me. So you just have to suspend your belief in it's a story.
Yeah.
It's not meant to convert you or anything like that. It's a story.
And if you're moved, you're moved.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about, real quick, because we got to wrap this up, about the new website that you have, or new Facebook page.
Yes, it's called The Concert Santa. Ever since I went to Foo Fighters a year and a half ago, I've been wearing a red shirt that says Hail Santa on it, and I decided to, and every time I go to a concert.
Every concert, not just Trans-Siberian Orchestra, every concert you're
I wear this shirt, and people always want pictures with Santa. Even in London, in Copenhagen, Denmark, when I went to go see Pearl Jam, people wanted pictures with Santa.
So concert
Santa. Yeah, so The Concert Santa on Facebook. If you've ever been to a concert and you had your picture taken with me as Santa, even before I was Santa, post them up, man. I think it would be really cool to see other people's stuff. I mean, I've had so many people ask me for pictures as Santa, because of the beard and the hair, and of course the red shirt, Hail Santa and everything, It's a really cool thing. I dig it a lot. And I thought it'd be kind of fun for people from around the world and around the country, because I go to a lot of different concerts, not just in Albuquerque.
Well, you guys check him out online, The Concert Santa, and check out Majestic Communications radio station for Storytime with Tony, TSO. We gotta wrap this up, but we'll see you soon. We love you to death. Tony, give everybody a kiss goodbye, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.